Hello, hello, hello. If you are here, you backed Upheaval, or you're following me on YouTube. One of the two. And if you follow me on YouTube, you should have backed Upheaval, and we're going to show you the book, and you'll like it, and maybe you'll want to back it now that we give you some insight. I am going to be joined by the artist, Brian Wolf. He helped me put this all together. We're going to give you guys an oversight of the issue, give you some commentary of all 25 pages. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about some things that are upcoming and maybe spoil some things and kind of talk about the art of comic making. So, Brian, how are you today?
Hey, just kind of like, okay, I'm great. I'm great. We did this early in the morning, exactly when you messaged me about it, and not 3 hours later.
Right, and you are not stressed out about the
No,
3 hour delay at all. So
no.
that's what's important, guys. Is Brian is fine, cool, and collective
Uh-huh. Yeah.
about this thing. So let's start on commentary for Upheaval #1. I'm so excited that we've got it out to digital backers and people liked it. A couple people have already commented and messaged me. I don't know if they've messaged you, but let us know that they really liked it. Um, One of the things I want to say too is I shared this with Brian the other day, and Brian took the wrong thing from it. I sent him the message of our backers and like new and returning, and he was like, "Great, you have a lot of great fans." And I was like, "Brian, you're looking at the wrong thing. We have it was 60, right? It was 60 new. Yeah, we have 60 new backers that have never backed an Orange Cone project and backed
Yeah.
it probably because of Brian Wolf's amazing talent, or maybe you've been waiting for us to do superheroes and we finally did. Whatever the reason why, we want to give a special shout out to you guys because you guys are first time fans and this is your first book and we don't want to let you down. So
Yeah, it's our first superhero book too. So, hopefully that's what it was, and they'll get more.
yeah. So start out with issue one now. If you guys have this, it's probably better to open up your digital thing to see this because it's going to be a little small on the screen. Or you can enlarge your screen, get it bigger, however you want to do it. But we're going to go through it. So let's first start on the cover. So the cover, this was like the minute we finished the design, we went straight to this, right? Because we didn't haven't even designed the
Yeah,
samurai.
we designed the villains, I think, and then you were like, "I have an idea for the cover," and I said, "Absolutely."
Did we design the villains? I thought we hadn't. We just knew the basics, so we knew their arms, and we didn't have fully divide them.
Yeah, I think I knew swords. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was like shortly after this that we actually put them together because I drew this. I really drew this one page at a time, from page one to page two. It's just the way I work. I like to discover it as I go. Um, and you'll see. Yeah. So yeah, he's right. And then I think to the point where I had to reference this to work on the design for the characters. So you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, well, and the other thing about this too is we had a different colorist when we
Yeah.
started, so we were trying out a different colorist, and they did great work. It
Hmm.
just wasn't what we were looking for. We really wanted the, I would say, like late or early 2000s coloring scheme of a Marvel comic, right? Not modern coloring, which is super super bright, a little bit darker than that, but like early 2000s, and it just wasn't what we exactly needed. So we then hired Alexandra, who I have never worked with before. He
Yeah.
blew it out of the park. He does 10th Muse. In fact, he auditioned for this and said he did this for free for us, um, as an audition. This is his audition piece, was amazing. And we were like, no notes. It's exactly what we wanted.
Yeah.
Um, well, I actually say it wouldn't, like we have a Discord that we actually put it through as testing. Like we didn't exactly know what we wanted. We just
Yeah.
knew it wasn't quite fitting exactly where we needed to be.
Yeah. We reached out, and there were people that were like, "Well, it should be backlit a certain way, or it should the lighting needs to reflect the colors need to reflect the lighting a little bit more." And this is a great thing for all you artists out there who don't feel confident in your own colors and you're using other colorists. It was hard for me to say no to that first person because I'm like, well, I put a lot of work into it, but they did want to redraw some of my line art, and I was like, okay, probably not the right person for this job.
Well, and was it Caden who kind of did it? Did a quick version?
That was Orion who
Orion,
actually
yeah.
did that. Who's like the sleeper? I think they've decided is the sleeper on
Who
our.
we just found out worked on the Spider-Man 2 video game.
Yeah.
What the what?
Who knows?
Which is crazy. So we'll definitely get Orion on something in the future. But yeah, it kind of really showed us what we needed here to make it work, and that's why these communities are so important. And you don't have to be part of the community that Brian and I are from, but I think it's really important to find a community that you can bounce things off of early in the production thing, because we could have done this whole thing and not got the quality that we want. And we really needed a third person, because I am much like Brian. I didn't want to let someone go. We threw a lot of passes, and we spent the money on it. But we needed a third party to go, no, like, this is not the way it should be done. Like, and that person does great colors for a different project, just not what we needed for this particular thing. So, all right, let's go to first page. Hold on. What is going on? My Zoom is going crazy. Hold on. Technical difficulty. What is going on? All right. So this is really nothing. This is just our credit, but we got all our credits there. So it's written by me, art by Brian Wolf. Alexandre Starling did the colors, letters by Jerome Gagnon, and edits by Devin Arscott. And then we have our cover breaks down for people who did variant covers for us. And then on the left, we have our, president, and then we have my wife as editor-in-chief and creative director. So the process here is we get an edit from Devin, we go through that, and then we continue to work on that. We make sure everything's good. Brian and I give feedback if we need from the script, or if it differs, because sometimes when I write something, Brian may interpret it a different way. So we clarify all those things in the script. And then the final edit is my wife, is Heather Deb. She'll do the final because she is the editor-in-chief.
Yeah.
Why is it doing that, bro?
Very fast.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that today. All right, so this page. Oh, wait.
Are we going to tell the story?
We're already starting with our first Inside Baseball. So, Brian, you said just a minute ago that you start from page 1 and you continue to go.
Yeah. This is not where I started. This was the last page I drew.
So what happened? And who do we blame? You or me?
I think there's a lot of blame to go around.
Okay.
But it's interesting. So Travis in the script had given me some pages to just draw an action scene. And I thought, hey, it's a comic book with superheroes. Let's draw a double page spread. So I did, and I just kind of put it in there without my brain doing the calculations you absolutely have to do with the comic book, which is you open the comic book. That first page is number 1. Somewhere in the middle, in those 2 open pages, that's where your double page spread lives. Unfortunately, I didn't calculate it. I did draw pencils. I did tell him what page. Travis just trusted me, and here we are. So.
But the positive is,
yes,
even though we had to write an additional page, this helps us give a little bit more insight in our character Poppy here.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it gives a little bit more calculated in how smart she is. Which, though we show how intelligent she is other areas, it's good to know that she knows. She times these things, and like these things are planned out. So this wasn't just the scenes that are going to happen in the future. Aren't just thrown together. They're they're known and strategized and planned before she does them.
And it's a happy accident, I would say. Especially we get to sort of clarify a little bit of how our technology works.
And I said, hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, man, we're doing some commentary on the first issue of Upheaval. All right, let's go to the next page. Hey, look, if I hit the arrow instead of using my mouse, it's a lot better.
Okay. It's a very fast mouse.
So this is the first page, and got stuff. We have our fake YouTube.
Yep.
We have our fake YouTube here. This is our introduction to Poppy and the first comic view of her. On display. We don't know exactly. We never added that Loogie poster.
We never did.
Never
That's
did.
right. Okay, we're gonna make it up to him. It'll be in the next one somehow.
Somehow. We'll get that somehow. But we show the drones, and this is her giving a message to her sister, letting her know, hey, if something happened, here is why I did what I did, and what could happen. So, and this is interesting because I didn't tell you this, but in my mind, I had her like in a basement laboratory, like tech shop, and you put it in the bedroom. It wasn't super important to the story, so I didn't have you change it. But it's interesting again how when you write a script, how these things play out.
Yeah. It's weird because when I read the script, she's coming by with her laundry basket.
So
And
you
I
assume
thought
bedroom,
you go to
right?
the bedroom for that, but maybe that's where the laundry room is downstairs. So it's interesting how that works.
Right. And again, that's again on me because I didn't describe it good enough, to make it very clear to you. So it's no big deal. So in this, we kind of do a flashback story. But what's cool about it, instead of doing a traditional flashback like we would in a normal comic, we played it through a YouTube video of her showing security footage from the scene, which is cool. So we actually get real eyewitness accounts instead of like from the memory of what's going on. And we show the puppy has a sister and a family, and that they died in an accident that we don't know a lot about. So
we'll find out.
We'll find out. Then we show the sister being very concerned because Poppy's, basically says, "Hey, if I die, here's what happened and here's why. The government did it. It's all a cover up. All the traditional tech stuff." And her sister's like, "Nope, I got to tell mom and dad."
This is her adoptive family.
Adopted. That's correct. Yeah, the Poppy is adopted because as we just learned, her family died. And then we have this hooded character, which was a huge concern for Brian because he did not want to get rid of this hood if we were changing page 1. He was very proud of the hood. I love the tight stuff. I love your perception. Your perceptive here, perception, right? No, that's not what I'm trying to say. Perspective. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. What made you decide to go from the top down to the elevator instead of like direct or?
It's such a close quarters space that when I'm thinking of like shots in those places, I'm always thinking of the angles for them to show the corners. So it's not just straight on the same. They're just standing in an elevator. It's you've got to maximize your geography there as much as you can as an artist, because she's got like 4 by 4 by 4, feet here. It's like and she's going to be doing some stuff in there. So I was like, all right, if I show it all here, I can cheat a little in the next, which is another thing to think about when you're an artist is where can I cheat so I don't have to draw the same thing over and over.
Well, this is as someone who, took a lot of art classes but was never good at it, this is a really hard perspective to do because of, the legs and size and everything, from stuff. So kudos, first action shot, you're like, let's go.
Yeah. Learning that foreshortening, it's a lifelong thing,
So, and then we start showing off the drone's powers. The drones are cutting off a hole, and we've got a little bit of fighting again in these close quarters. She's showing she's athletic and kicking up the hole that we created in the roof, kind of kicking these guards' ass. And then we've got all sorts of fighting. He's catching things and
this is an interesting page. So I think I took 2 passes of the pencils for how she sort of flips up on him, because it was a hard sort of thing to sell, with that thing coming down on him while she's sort of kicking away.
Yeah,
in that first panel, like that's tough. So it was good. It was good. I think it turned out okay.
Yeah, and that's the problem with comics. So in comics in general, like writing, you want them to do things, and writing writing them doing multiple actions, which you kind of need them to do,
Yeah.
like it gets really hard, and the artist has to kind of pick the best one out of what you said, right? Like you
Hmm.
can't throw, I just did one in a script a minute ago, and it was throw a laptop in a bag. Well, that's technically two panels,
Right.
but those are two boring panels. So how do you do it, in one panel and make it good? And that's the job of the writer and the artist to figure out what's the best way to show that. And a lot of things are, what's great about comics is you can kind of hide things in the gutters and hide things. You don't have to share everything. Your brain will make up for time where they wouldn't if you were reading a novel.
And another thing we did here is we physicalized the motion lines. So the drones themselves have a kind of rocket trail behind them, and that shows you their motion. It shows you how they move about. Which is if they were just static, and you wouldn't really know where they're coming from, and how they're moving in the scene. So that's another thing to think about is if you can get away with motion lines, make them physical in some way, water trails or light or whatever, or smoke or something.
And I love this uppercut here. That's something I envisioned when she had the drones, of using them to like help her fists and stuff like that. And I like it breaks the panel grid, which is great. And,
Yeah, I don't do that often, so it's always like, oh yeah, I should probably do that every once in a while.
but yeah, I love that shot. You'll probably see more of that because I really like that that aspect, that shot. I think is good. And then this is your first like superhero shot. I think I even declared it as the first superhero like shot. Hey, I've this is level 1. She just beat level 1.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's going on to level 2, which is really, really cool. The angles of the elevator. Did you look up an elevator angle, or did you kind of make it from scratch here?
I looked up how it looks on the inside, but just like everybody else, I have to use the perspective lines and kind of draw it in. Like they're like little ladders on the side, but they don't really come out that clean. So it was most about, but I wanted to show that motion anyway, so it kind of looks fuzzy.
Yeah, it kind of looks like an 8 instead of a thing, but they kind of do, because they need room for people to crawl up if it's stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I like it a lot. It's really good, and then we get a really good look at her facial and the jawline that you created in the little dots. I like it. I like that page a lot. And then she should be in a good spot, but no, look. Oh no, there's a bunch of guards. These guards wear hats, so they're. This is the last page I wrote, correct? I think.
Yeah.
Before I gave you like a couple inch.
That's right. Yeah, and it was the motion was that she would be defensive, and then sort of like have that flashback, and then sort of stand and be ready, right?
Yeah. So I really wanted to show one of the things that I want to tell in this story that we don't talk about in comics is the trauma of what happened. So she is traumatized by the death of her family. She's still traumatized by it. So gunshots really freak her out. So we're seeing the trauma of that event. That's why we have the little breakout panel to the right of her reminding herself as a little girl. And she kind of overcoming it to be ready to fight. So, and we're going to see a lot more of that as the series progresses, because it's really a story about overcoming these things that happen to you in life, and who you're going to become, and what you're going to become in the future.
Yeah, and here's another great thing for you guys, you artists out there. Notice how much negative space I have in the center of it, and I have that figure at the very center of it, because that's something I wanted to draw your eye towards when I was doing the panels. Like the guards, they're very small in this page, but their actions are more emotional anyway to her. So I didn't really want to focus on them.
No.
I also don't like drawing guns. That's something I told Travis already. So I'm like, I'll draw it over here in the thing. I don't like them, but they work.
He's gonna have to draw a lot of guns.
I'm gonna have to draw a lot of guns. It's okay. I'll get used to it. It's comics, right?
So then we started, our first action scene. Again, I let him kind of go his thing. He put the visor down. the visor, and we start the battle here. And as you see the quick motions things, this was probably a really cool panel to do, because you could break it up and it's not a traditional comics panel.
Mm-hmm. And he gave me some instruction. He wanted it to be Wolverine in the Hellfire Club.
Right.
Which is a very famous comic, which is weirdly one of the few X-Men comics from that period that I owned as a kid. So I knew it pretty well. And there are actually 2 panels that are referencing it. And if you look up to the right, there's the panel on the top, the panel on the bottom. Those are literally 2 panels that I referenced for the scene.
So which ones? The bottom left and bottom right?
The bottom right and the top right.
Okay. So I assume that's Wolverine jumping down in the Hellfire Club and in that, and then this is him throwing
Wolverine tossing a dude. Although I think there were like more characters in it, but
Sure. Well,
I think it was Art Adams. I don't know. So
yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? And then we stuff up, and this is where so I gave him 4 pages, but I wrote, hey, they need to hack this thing. So this is got to be part of it. And then there was no dialogue, and I went in and wrote this dialogue after the fact. Based
Marvel
on
style. Like Jerome's lettering there, and the theme is beautiful.
It's really, really good. I like it a lot. I think it really emphasizes that stuff. There's a reason why he's Ringo nominated.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a double page spread. It doesn't come out great on this digital, but
yeah.
See, it's really, really good, and he's got again the Wolverine-esque of it,
Yes, definitely. It was the Frank Miller ninjas scene, right? He gets all covered up in the ninjas, and it just goes to black.
And then Hyper Omega Beam, which is doing some superhero words that mean nothing. Which I mock in the panels. The robot's like, what?
It's very anime too, which is kind of her thing.
Which is not Travis's thing. See, when you're writing things, you can write things that you don't particularly like. It's okay. It's okay. And then you really wanted this dinosaur, so I wrote when we wrote about the family. The family has a dinosaur.
Yes, I had to draw the dinosaur in a close-up panel.
We did mess up here, though. I should have caught it.
Yeah.
Do you know where I'm thinking we messed up?
Yeah.
Where?
Is it that it's breakfast?
No, that's not. Well, that's problem 2. But the other problem more is there's no empty seat for our.
Oh, there's none. You're right.
Those are things that.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, it should be a 6-person table.
Right. No big deal, but these things happen. So we talk about the mom. We kind of introduce the family a little bit. And they're all getting information and watching the video. I like how she was screaming down the stairs last time we saw her, and they just are now sitting calmly.
Yeah. That was the script. I didn't realize till later, but maybe she was not important until it was.
Right.
I really wanted that dinosaur to say something here. I don't know why. Just the way I like the bottom. The next
Rawr.
page. I wanted to say "rawr," but I didn't bring that up.
Well, in the trade, we'll go through the whole thing again. I don't know if you know, but in the trade, I always go through the whole thing, and we'll make changes. So in the trade, we'll change these things. Loogie will get added, the whole thing.
It's funny how many times you edit and you look over, and then there's always something that you come back to.
Right. Yeah, maybe we should have done this before we sent Heather the final edits.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe we'll schedule it next time.
Right. All right, so we're back to our heroine. She's going through. She's showing how she's got cool hacking powers herself. Which is really important to me, this scene, because I really wanted to show that she doesn't just rely on them to do things. She knows how to do it herself, showing that she did program or at least influenced. There is ones that she didn't program and ones she did. We haven't revealed that yet, but they're Brian and I are aware of which ones are what. So, which is cool.
Yeah, we got an old school hacking scene.
Hackers, and I mean, she's got the glasses and everything.
Everything.
Elsewhere, and this is some really cool stuff. We've got our samurai here. We've got the crimson kabuki. And there's a lot of Easter eggs here that I think will be important in the future, like the plugs and the anime poppy at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And we show that these guards are the same guards that are at least dressed the same as the ones in Orlando. So what's the connection between Tokyo and Orlando?
Mm-hmm.
And we got cool portals and the number 17. All these things have meaning, but we don't reveal a lot here.
Yeah, the only thing I think I added here was the tea ceremony. I had them doing a tea ceremony,
right,
to show that they are married, to make that sort of clear to somebody who might understand what a tea ceremony is.
Yeah. One of the things little details that I like about that you did here too is the two-toed like samurai shoes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that little touch, And then we start, and now this is a cool little feature that we that Brian came up with, which I think is really cool. Is the different faces. So when I started this, I wanted it to be. I envisioned them just as regular kabukis. I just wanted them to be like kind of samurais and not necessarily generic, but I wasn't putting a lot of effort into it. And then when I explained to Brian the plot, he was like, "Why don't we do something a little wild with the masks and make it special?" So we decided to make them eight. Is it 8-bit or 16-bit?
16. These are 16-bit ones.
16-bit. So we made them have
the far away ones might be 8 if they're really small.
So these masks change as it goes, and kind of like a neon, like you see it a lot in like if you're watching those the Purge movies, they have the neon stuff. So kind of that concept. Just on this, it's a 16-bit screen that kind of shows us different stuff, and we have some actual Japanese writing, which is great. I'm sure if we sent it to them, that wouldn't say what I wanted to say. But
I was wondering actually how you knew those were accurate.
Google Translate, baby. Google Translate.
Right. We'll go with it.
Though I don't know if you know this, my daughter went to Japan for a year for an internship.
Oh, cool.
So I could technically send it to my daughter and ask.
Okay.
It is kind of why this is based in Japan and why Japan is part of it is because this girl is very influenced by my
sure
daughter.
Thing. Yeah.
So.
My son wants to go to Japan so bad.
And then we show that she uses these drones, the smaller drones, as whatever she needs them to be. So she's used them, a couple of different times for cutting instruments and things like that. Now she's using them as Wolverine claws to help her fight. So
yeah, she sends them up to the roof. They collapse some rubble.
Fall on our guy. And then we have our big shoulder ones come back and help out because they've got we've got the last guy here. We throw some karates and she cuts him up. He cuts them up. Our drones are dead, which is very sad. But no, wait, look, they can fuse themselves back together, which I love the coloring on this.
Yeah.
But they can fuse themselves back together. So they are special drones because you can't do that with drones, ladies and gentlemen.
This is the first time I've ever drawn an extended action scene. This is
really?
Yeah, most of the time when you're drawing comics, it's 1 or 2 moments and that's it. But only superhero action really asks for this much.
Right. Well, I think it's important. My wife commented on this when she read it. If you read like my other semi-comic superhero related, which is Coins of Judas, there's a lot of dialogue in it because I'm trying to really, really crazy world build. But in comics, world builds are almost all reveals in comics, So when you reveal like, hey, this is a bigger world, it's all part of a big reveal thing instead of like as we go. now and then they may talk about how the Hydra base was made or created and stuff like that as kind of a flashback, but normally it's done through the action. It's big reveals, oh, the bad guy won. Oh, this was not in the plan the whole time. He was attacking a second location. How are we going to stop two locations being attacked at the same time? It's kind of traditional comics. I read a lot of them, so I kind of know the beats, and this allowed us to kind of play with them. So, and then, she gets stabbed. Oh no, the stabby. She didn't like getting stabbed either.
We were trying to keep this relatively PG, so like having that full stab in there is pretty crazy, but it's not gratuitous. So,
and we stabbed at a good spot too.
She's gonna live.
Right, she's gonna live. Everything's gonna be fine. And when we say PG, it's more of a Marvel superhero book. So whatever those would rate to you. But here is something interesting and a mystery, right? So she's getting all beat up, and look, there's she's kind of sparkling up and sizzling, and you can see like some chips or something that's appearing in her face, which is kind of weird. And then the Crimson Kabuki kind of just abort the mission, which is weird. Why they do that, Brian? Why they do that?
I don't know. We'll have to find out.
That
nice shot of Lake Eola.
Yeah, look at that. So we got Lake Eola there. You got your Orlando shot. Beautiful purple sky, which you don't see in Orlando.
No, not really.
Mostly because of smog. Then she gets dropped off at the house. When we see that watch that we saw in the beginning, and we have a couple of big reveals here that we're not going to talk about right here, but we'll definitely play off in the future, that kind of leave us on a cliffhanger, very superhero first issue cliffhanger, like most superheroes, like Spider-Man and all that. She didn't knock it out of the park on her first encounters, but she survived to tell the day, and we'll have to see what issue 2 has in store for that.
Yeah.
So, and then we have all our covers, which is great. I love all these. Again, we unveiled the new, we didn't mention on the cover, but we unveiled a new trade dress, which is cool, specifically for this. Jerome was really excited about the like face in the box. So I'm excited about that. We'll change that out every issue. It'll be fun. So, and then we show a little bit of what's coming for, Upheaval number 2. There's a character called Mascot. Let's see what's happening there. Scott seems to be doing a Punisher homage.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't know it was a Punisher homage.
I wasn't as familiar with that cover. That's like, I always think of Punisher. I think of like the Punisher Warzone, cover. So I wasn't aware of that.
Punisher. Then we got a cool pinup that our friend Pete Collins did, which is really great. Some orange Conad, and that's it for issue 1.
Yeah.
So we want to thank you guys. First, thank you guys for backing and unlocking this commentary. Hopefully you guys learned something about the process and about what we do.
Yeah.
We do plan on doing these. Brian wants to do them monthly. I don't have that in my schedule, but we are going to try to do it quarterly. So we're going to try to get you 3 more books this year. So that is our plan. I'm not sure how we're going to do that, but Brian says it's possible.
My end is possible, probably.
His end's probably my end's a little harder, but we're going to keep working on it. We're going to keep booting these books out, and we'll see you next quarter for the next one, and then probably late in the quarter. And then we'll keep going as we go. So, but anything else you want to say before we leave, Brian?
Not really. But if you want to reach out to me, if you have questions about the book or questions about art in general, just reach out on the socials. On the socials. Yes.
And we will see you for issue 2. Thank you guys for backing. We appreciate you.
All right.
And end stream.